very much, Mr. Betts, and it's a pleasure to serve under your chairmanship. It is very typical of the Right Honourable Member for Delyn to approach the subject in the way that he has. He has stressed the need for cross-party action on this, and I'm not anticipating unusually that he and I will be returned, but if we are, then I would very much like to work with him on sorting out some of the issues that he's raised. And I do give him my praise for raising this debate. Going shopping should be a pleasure. It should be full of the excitement of trying to find the bargains, of being able to negotiate with the shop owners. And I don't think that we should do anything that takes away that pleasure. We need to, whatever we do should be seen within that context. But the point that I made in the intervention is a crucial one. The difference that we can suggest as the solution for companies of the size of Tesco and Waitrose is completely different from what we can suggest for the smaller business. And in my constituency, although we have Waitrose and Tesco's, we also have a vast array of smaller businesses. In fact, the majority of the businesses in the high streets in both Henley and Thame are small shops. Many of them are family-owned. And it is those that I have the greatest concern of over how we go about doing this. I'm not questioning anything that the Right Honourable Member has said, but I'm merely pointing out that we need to look at how best to approach it. Because if you take, for example, some of the suggestions that have been made of CCTV, for example, and some of the more developed techniques for controlling retail crime, those are quite expensive for small and medium-sized businesses. And I don't think that a strategy that just takes the whole of the retail sector and applies solutions right across the board is at all appropriate for dealing with those sort of companies. Now, we all know, and the Right Honourable Member has raised this very acutely, that shoplifting does affect the productivity and the competitiveness of smaller shops. And there was a study done a few years ago that showed that even the smallest amount of shoplifting can have a major impact on the profitability of those shops. And the effect of that is much greater than the percentage that is there, and it's particularly so in smaller shops where the margins are tighter and where they need to concentrate on tackling those things. But there are several other things that I would just highlight. The first is credit card fraud. Now, you can say that that is a problem for the credit card companies, but it isn't a problem for the credit card companies. It's also a problem for the small and medium-sized retailers. And I think a much more joined-up approach to being able to tackle that is absolutely essential. And allied with that is the use of mobile payment technologies. Now, I know that there are huge benefits to mobile payment technologies, and I would acknowledge using those benefits in my own shopping. But we also have to take a very firm line in mitigating against the risks of using mobile payment technologies in going forward with these with the solutions that we are proposing. I think the points that have been raised on attacks on staff and indeed attacks on shoppers are very valid. And we must do everything we can to protect those individuals. I've had no experience myself of being attacked while out shopping, and I'd like to keep it that way. I'd like to keep it that way, not just for me, but for everyone that is going shopping. But I think, as the Right Honourable Gentleman pointed out, the effect of drug-related cultures on this is quite keen, and it links to the other statement that he made about the attack on shops to get alcohol and to get cigarettes. The two are often linked together, and we need to tackle them together to be able to sort them out. And the final point that I would just make, Mr. Betts, is the involvement of the charity shops in this. I think it is absolutely despicable that anyone should be targeting charity shops who exist for charitable purposes for theft. And I think that anything that we can do to help them, we should try to do. So if the Right Honourable Gentleman wishes to take forward a cross-party approach to this, then I'm in, and I'm very happy to work with him. He is a colleague of mine on the Justice Select Committee, so we have worked together enormously on these issues, some of the justice issues of which he has raised already in his presentation. But I would thank him for raising this issue.